from World of Electronics. I hope I spelled the name right.
Very well.
And
Yeah.
she is addressing the e-waste epidemic topic. So the urgent call for circular economy solution. We have the problem that we have more and more waste, electronic waste, and you have solution or ideas how to target this one. So
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Well, I see some faces, so that's really promising. It's been a really long week, and for me, very productive. So I hope for you too as well. Personally, I'm really eager to jump on the plane and go home. But before I do that, I have a mission, and I want to really tell you more about e-waste, an important topic that is often neglected in our industry. And if I can get, all of you to really get inspired and go and check out and maybe challenge some of the waste practices in your organizations, well, then I accomplished my mission and I can go home really happy. Before we dive in, let me introduce myself really quickly. And also tell you why my company that I represent here, World Electronics, is relevant to talk about this topic. My name is Andjela Pasi. I'm Director of Global Marketing at World Electronics. And what World Electronics has been doing for 15 years, we've been reducing the e-waste, so the electronic waste overall. And how we do this? Well, we operate in the interconnect passive and electromechanical side of the industry, particularly the distribution side of the industry. And what we've done with our program that's called Green Stock Program, we have saved over 6 billion components that were destined to go into the landfills, but they were perfect new components and functional components. We have diverted them from landfills and brought them back into the supply chain, reintegrated them into the distribution channel. And what we did is that we are now, with those components, powering countless essential applications across industries, from healthcare, automotive, consumer electronics, you name it. So we've done a lot of work and a lot of research in this area, in particular when it comes to e-waste, which led us to write a lot of white papers, blogs on this specific topic. And we also have provided a lot of research to our industry, to different industry associations as well. And that's why we're here to talk about this topic. That's what makes us relevant to talk about this topic. So let's start first with terminology. What is e-waste? E-waste stands for electronic waste. So think about phones, computers, devices, but also electronic components. All of this for something that we call e-waste. And maybe something you didn't know about, but electronics are part of the world's fastest growing waste stream. And we generate 62 million tons of e-waste every year. And this number is getting not getting better at all. You can see by 2030, this number is going to reach 82 million tons annually. So I know it's hard to visualize because when I started reading papers about it, doing some research around this, it was hard for me to visualize what 62 million tons actually means. But let's put it into perspective of something that, we can all sort of, we can reference to. Think about Eiffel Tower. When I go to Paris, I admire Eiffel Tower. I look at Eiffel Tower, I not only from the architectural point of view, but also in terms of dimensions, in terms of the size of Eiffel Tower. Well, imagine that the e-waste that we produce every year equals to 6,200 Eiffel Towers stacked all together. Like, I even think about one Eiffel Tower, for me, that's already a lot. Think about 6,200 Eiffel Towers altogether. Now, we can talk about the consequences to the environment, because what is happening is that landfills are not designed to contain toxins in there. And what's happening is that when these components, when this e-waste goes into the landfills, it's actually dissolving and it's creating some toxic materials like lead mercury that's going and pretty much touching the water, soil. And so everything we eat, the waters that we drink. And so it has really serious consequences when it comes to health, in particular respiratory, reproductive health issues. And it's very impacting also vulnerable groups like children. So now you understand why addressing e-waste is crucial for both environmental and human health. And it should get much more attention in our industry. And today we don't see that it's being tackled enough as an important. Now we can discuss a little bit about the separation between, I'm here to represent more the electronic component side of the industry. And you can argue and say, well, clearly 75% of the e-waste comes from the consumer electronics. And we could say, well, we as electronic components industry are generating about 25% of that. And we could say that that's not a lot. But actually think about it, 25% of when it comes to electronic components of how much we contribute to e-waste still equals to 15 tons of e-waste every year. So again, going back to our Eiffel Tower, we're talking about 1,500 Eiffel Towers. As I said, one Eiffel Tower is a lot, let alone 1,500 Eiffel Towers altogether. There are many, many reasons and many contributors to e-waste. And there are many. This list could be very, very long. And I couldn't fit all of that in there. I chose the couple of ones that I found the most interesting one. Especially relevant to all of electronics and what we do and what we're seeing in our industry, dealing with both manufacturers, let's say, and distributors. So you can think about expired shelf life. Some components have a set shelf life. And clearly, if they have a set shelf life, after that, once you pass shelf life, they no longer meet safety or performance standards. And clearly, they should be removed from the circulation. But then the question is, they should never end up in landfills. They should be removed from circulation, and then we should be using some certified recycling companies to actually extract the, precious material from it rather than just dumping it into the landfills. That's the idea. Think about the date code. That's an interesting, very interesting one. And many people don't really know this, but actually this is what we're facing in our industry. OEMs and end users typically require date codes less than 2 years old, even if the components are perfectly functional. So think about your mobile phone. When I use my mobile phone, I don't really look at my mobile phone to see which year my mobile phone was manufactured. That's exactly date code. Because for me, what is really important is that my mobile phone is functional and I can use it and I'm happy with it. And if I don't want to longer use my mobile phone, what I'm going to do, I'm going to try to find a second home for it. I'm going to go and sell my mobile phone. Well, that's not happening in our industry. There's really no understanding of why date codes are there and why there's a demand for 2-year date codes, even though, as I said, components are perfectly functional. And unfortunately, because of this demand, many components are ending up in landfills. Now you have organizations like Electronic Components Industry Association. They're really pushing for a shift away from this outdated mindset when it comes to date codes. And we also have some evidence, different papers you can find online if you do some research. NASA, US military, that have published papers saying that in the modern storage that we all use today, we can keep components for many, many years, and they're still valuable, they're still reliable. So then the really big question is, why is it that we, in the less sensitive environments, are asking for a date code to 2 years if NASA is okay with the date code being 5, 6, or 7 years? That's something interesting that we're trying to find an answer, but we don't have it right now. Manufacture over production, another one, clearly no brainer. If we would be all great at forecasting, it would be 100% accurate, so we would never end up with any excess inventory. But that's not the case, especially for manufacturers. They do, they're stocking the product as well. So when demand falls short, manufacturers often have excess stock and that can quickly become obsolete. And of course, what they do, they usually sometimes then maybe the most, let's say, cost-effective solution is just to go and pretty much bring those components into the land. Last but not least, is something that you may not be aware of, but it's very common for the industries where you have manufacture and distribution. It's very common for manufacturers to give distributors a so-called scrap allowance. And I want to just spend a few words as an example just for you to understand a little bit this concept. So what is happening is that distributors are there, they exist so that they can stock the product because manufacturer cannot reach certain areas and wants distributor to serve those areas with the stock. Now, distributor is overly concerned. If I stock all this product, am I going to be able to sell all of this stock? What's going to happen if I'm left with some excess inventory? So manufacturer came up with something that is called scrap for credit, or we call it also scrap allowance, in which case they give a certain percentage. They can go from 2 to 5% based on your previous year purchases. that you can use as a sort of an incentive. And you take the credits, you identify the part numbers and stock that for use access, you destroy that product, you basically dump it into the landfills, you provide a certificate of destruction, and then manufacturer gives you a credit note for that, so you can use it to go and buy new stuff. So it's a way to refresh your inventory and to kind of take off some of the burden from you when it comes to excess inventory. But unfortunately, the way this is managed is not managed properly because again, components are ending up in landfills. Not to mention the economic cost of this whole process, because what is happening is that because the components are ending up in landfills, these components are most probably in demand from some other distributors. So you're preventing some other distributors to get access to those components. And at the same time, we're also harming our environment. So it's both environment and economy loss in business. So when I say perfectly usable components, why do I say that? Well, truly because we as well electronics have done a lot of research on this, and part of our programs has been, we have seen that what is happening with the components is that very often those components that were destined for landfills, 87% of value of that components, we actually see that there is a demand for that product. Somebody else is looking for it in our industry right now. And so what would happen if we would buy that component and in landfills, we would have to go, the manufacturer would have to go and produce those components again. And as I said, we're not going to meet the immediate demands from our distributors, which is exactly what the point should be about circular economy in this case. So clearly, we're seeing that based on our numbers and based on our research, that yes, it's true. There is a good 30% of the components that are non-sellable for many different reasons. It's a shelf life, it could be the quality of those components. And yeah, for sure, they should not be let be part of the circulation. We should take them away from the circulation, but not, again, discarding them in landfills. We should take those components, as I said, use some certified recycling companies and get all the precious material out of them. And then those other 70% of the components, well, we should always look and see how can we extend the life cycle of components. Can we do something to get those components back into the market and make them available again? I mean, we do this already in other industries. If you think about fashion industry, we're doing this in many other industries. So why is it that this is not happening in our industry? Is something that definitely we need to work on. So a circular economy model in electronics would mean that instead of throwing away or scrapping slow moving and excess inventory, we're keeping components in circulation longer. And by doing so, we're reducing waste, we're conserving natural resources. And this approach benefits our industry in different ways. We're extending the lifespan of our electronics, we're recovering valuable materials, we're minimizing waste, and at the same time, we're significantly reducing the burden on our planet. Now, there's a part of the cost as well involved in this. So we think about the planet, which is important, but sometimes as part of the team of electronics as well is how do we meet sustainability with profit? Well, e-waste also poses a significant economic cost globally. And the estimates are that around $57 billion are lost every year in valuable materials because components are ending up in landfills instead of being recycled properly or put back into the market. So it's not just sustainability, it's also the economic side of it, where we lose all in this industry. So how can we make our circular economy a reality in electronics? Well, each member of this ecosystem has a role to play. And this is our perspective, again, as I mentioned, as world of electronics being in the, let's say, interconnect passive electromechanical side of distribution industry. Well, manufacturers should continue designing the product for longevity. And also when dealing with some excess inventory, they should always look for a partner or look for a solution that will allow them to extend the life cycle of components. Distributors should do exactly the same. They should always look at solutions before they actually decide to, as I said, to recycle the components. Look for a solution. Is there an opportunity? Is there a demand for these components to keep these components longer in the let's say in our own ecosystem, and make it available again to those who are actually searching for the components. Industry associations have also very important role to play. There should be some sustainability standards. We should establish more guidelines that promote reintegration and working also with different parties to be all part of this ecosystem where we're promoting circular economy. And then all of us have a role that we can go back to organizations and challenge wasteful practices and continuously looking at how we can all, as leaders in our organizations, set up more sustainability measures so that we can improve overall our companies, but also, the planet itself. So to close, I would love to see this industry being, leading by example. And at the same time, as one call to action, if you are interested in this topic, if you would like to know more, if you would like to share some of the information with me, if you have any questions, or if you would like to access some of the blogs and white papers that we wrote around this topic, or you would like to know or get some more education, well, one call to action, scan the QR code and reach out to me. I would love to connect with you. And at the same time, of course, follow World of Electronics because we do a lot of great things in this way. And we're really trying our best, given the size of our company, trying our best to really educate our industry about e-waste. But we need help. All of us should be part of this. Thank you.
Thank you, for that inspiring presentation. I guess there are a lot of people that could do a lot more about the environment, and of course, that's a good idea to do more. Any questions?
I do want to thank everyone. I mean, Fridays is very, it's clearly not a busy day in electronic, let's say. And I'm actually, impressed looking at, because I was here also before, I'm quite impressed with the number of people that were here. So I really appreciate you staying here. I hope you were inspired by the topic. And as I said, please reach out to us. We would love to share more our story and also, get you all more involved in making this industry an industry. Thank you.